What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. The Denver Nuggets get it done again. Split cow! We just got done watching an absolutely thrilling basketball game between the Denver Nuggets and the New Orleans Pelicans, a game in which the Denver Nuggets took 99-98. At one point, they led the game by 19 points, and they just squeaked it out at the end. It was an incredible basketball game where defense was played at a high level, and there's so much to look at and so much to talk about because even though the Denver Nuggets barely won, I think this is a massive positive that they were able to squeak out this win in New Orleans without Michael Porter Jr. and without Bones Hyland. So we're going to break down this game, and we're going to talk about this. Obviously, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram out for the New Orleans Pelicans, so not too much to look at as far as their perspective, but we're going to focus on the Denver Nuggets tonight. So let me start with this. I went on a date on Saturday, and let me tell you, that did not go well. I wouldn't say it was my best performance. I kind of bombed. And what I do when I am frustrated or blow my chances with a beautiful woman, I turn to beautiful basketball. And that is what the Denver Nuggets play. Beautiful basketball. Their offense is the #1 rated offense in the NBA for good reason. And we're going to talk about that and what makes them so special, because it's not only the players, but it's a lot of what those players are able to do together. Before we get into the breakdown, first, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. You see how close we are to 1,000 subscribers, and we're going to keep grinding and we're going to get there. So if you could please hit that subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. But let's talk about this. So obviously we know the value of Nikola Jokic, and tonight Nikola Jokic had 25 points, 10 assists, and 11 rebounds. And part of what made tonight so impressive for the Nuggets is that sometimes your offense isn't going well. And yes, you're missing Michael Porter Jr. and Bones Hyland, two guys that are pretty important in your offense. Some nights your offense just isn't there. It's not there at the same level that it normally is, and you have to find a way to grind out a tough victory. On the other side of the bracket, on the other side of the world, we had the Boston Celtics. Other side of the U.S., I shouldn't say world. On the other side of the U.S., the Boston Celtics lost to the Orlando Magic in a night that the Denver Nuggets could have taken not seriously because the Pelicans were missing Zion and Brandon Ingram. No, Jokic was coming back from injury. They took it seriously and they grinded out a victory. And yes, it was difficult, and yes, it was hard fought, but I absolutely love this from the Denver Nuggets. The crowd in New Orleans was into it. The Pelicans just kept making runs. And in the end, the Nuggets pushed back and won this basketball game because Nikola Jokic is always calm. When he's hitting game winners, when he's making incredible passes, he's always level-headed and calm. And what I want to talk about Nikola Jokic is what makes them so great. So we've talked about the Denver Nuggets have the #1 rated offense in the entire NBA. They have the #1 post-up offense in the entire NBA. They have the #1 three-point percentage in the NBA. And they're #1 in transition points per possession, meaning that when they get transition opportunities, they cash in. So what makes the Nuggets so good and what makes Jokic so good? Nikola Jokic plays a lot of his game from that elbow. In fact, if you look at the analytics, Jokic touches the ball at the elbows more than any player in the entire NBA. So a lot of their game plan starts with Nikola Jokic at the elbow. They give him the ball down there, and he has so many options from there. He can decide to back you down and obviously take you to the rim, in which case you can either try to single him where he'll probably score, or you can try to double him where he's such an elite passer and has such high basketball IQ that even if you try your rotations, he'll still be able to hit the open man. Or Nikola Jokic can do this play that I really like that's like a handoff. And and you don't watch this podcast for my drawing skills, so just keep that in mind. But kind of drew the court, and I want to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. And I love to do these film breakdowns, and it's something that I'd love to do if YouTube, starts to get to the point where it allows you. But Nikola Jokic gets the ball right here, okay? So Nikola Jokic has the basketball. You got his defender here. What they'll do is you're creating almost a pick and roll kind of play, but Jokic has the ball to where it's almost a natural pick. So this guy here, if this is Jamal Murray, will run down, Nikola Jokic is in the way of this defender, and either this center has the option to either drop down on Jamal Murray and you create an insane switch where Nikola Jokic is being guarded by CJ McCollum or whoever was guarding Jamal Murray, or this guy gets, which is most often what happens, a wide open look here. The only other option is this guy tries to go underneath and get here, but then Jamal Murray just pops open for a wide open three. So when you're looking at Nikola Jokic, and what makes him so great, it's so much versatility in the offense and what they're able to achieve with him on the court because of his elite passing skills, because he's the best post-up player in the NBA, because he can score in the mid-range. He can hit you with a Dirk fade. He can hit you with a little sky hook in the paint. And it's so impressive every time I watch Nikola Jokic. Now, one of the things that I really want to point out, and it's why they're number 2 in the league in assists, by the way. One of the things I really want to point out is Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray tonight had 25 points and 7 assists. And Jamal Murray looks fully back to me. Obviously, coming back from that major injury, you wondered how long it was going to take him to get his legs back under him. I counted at least 3 dunks tonight that he had, one of them an alley-oop. And that's what that tells me is he's starting to have major confidence in his legs, and he's starting to play at a much higher level. For the season, he's averaging 18.9 points, but in the last 10 games, 22 a game. So you're seeing that start to tick up. And that's exactly what the Denver Nuggets need, because when Jamal Murray is at his best and hitting shots, he's one of the most insane, difficult shot makers we've ever seen. We saw that a couple years ago when the Denver Nuggets went on that playoff run in the first round in Utah. Was potentially the greatest shot making I've ever seen in my entire life from Jamal Murray. Now, with guys out, you get to see a couple guys get a little more of a role. Bruce Brown tonight had 11 points. Jeff Green hasn't been back from injury very long, gave you 7 points. Christian, they kept saying Brown on the broadcast, but it's spelled Braun. I apologize if I missay it, but he had 7 tonight. And you got contributions from Najee and Chanchar. So the Denver Nuggets had the ability to play some of these guys and get them real reps, which is very important when it comes to playoff times if Michael Porter Jr. gets in foul trouble or a guy has to miss a game here or there. So you have to effectively build this roster, and this is why I love the Denver Nuggets so much. Their depth is insane. Their clutch time, they have the 3rd best clutch winning percentage in the entire NBA. And what even more than that is they're known for their elite offense. They have the 2nd best offensive rating of all time this year. All time. That's insane. But in the last 10 games, the Denver Nuggets are number 3 in defensive rating. They have picked up their defense at a very, very high level. And they're playing both sides of the basketball. And that's why I talk about when you talk about beautiful basketball. However you want it, that's how the Denver Nuggets are going to give it to you. If you want it with a side of gravy, if you want it with barbecue sauce, they're going to give it to you in any way that you want it. And I love that from the Denver Nuggets. On the New Orleans Pelicans side, they're obviously missing Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. They're a team fighting for playoff positioning. And the big concern with them is always going to be guys staying on the court. When healthy, this roster is very, very good and could be a contender in the Western Conference. They could compete with teams like the Grizzlies. They'd give you a tough series if you're the Denver Nuggets. But if those guys aren't going to be consistently healthy, I don't know what to make of this Pelicans team. Unfortunately, they're a very, very talented roster that has some good young players in Herb Jones and, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Hernan Gomez, Valanciunas, CJ McCollum. They got all these players, but if they're not healthy, then really it doesn't matter, unfortunately. And that's why I think a team like the Denver Nuggets is going to come out of the Western Conference. And that was my pick before the season. I feel very confident that this Denver Nuggets team will come out of the West. They have a 2.5 game lead on the first seed. They're 34-14. They're 9-1 in their last 10. They're just playing basketball at such a high level, and I love to watch it. It's the most fun team in the NBA for me to watch right now because they do it on both ends of the court, and they play basketball at such a high level. Their IQ is so good, and I just love everything about it. That's all we got for you as far as this video. Again, don't forget to subscribe. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Appreciate y'all. Cyborg out.